Welcome to Espresso Yourself, the podcast where mom life, running life, and teaching life collide.
We're three women juggling lesson plans, long runs, and real life chaos, sharing honest conversations about motherhood, miles, and making a difference in and out of the classroom.
Whether you're listening on a run, in the carpool line, or hiding out with your coffee, you're in the right place.
So lace up,
Tune in,
And let's do life together.
welcome back to Espresso Yourself. This week, it is just Becky and I because Katie is away at a conference and it looks like she's having a ton of fun making some connections. But this week, we have something special for our listeners. We have our very first guest that we will be introducing here in just a few moments, right after Becky and I do a quick little catch up. Becky, I see it looks like you had a pretty busy week in kindergarten and doing some casting for your musical.
Yeah, so this week is like the start of the 13 weeks of being super busy until like mid-May. My friend Katie started our theater club at school, and it went from like playing the music for our musicals on like a little Bluetooth speaker and having cardboard sets to these crazy, just like we have background visuals, we have a whole sound system, we have 16 mics. These kids are singing these, great solos, and we're just doing these full-on musicals. So I've been helping out with that for the last 3 years. And this year we're doing Moana Jr. So we had auditions for that this week. 95 kids auditioned. Our school is huge. We have 1,000 kids in our school, kindergarten through 5th grade, but 4th and 5th graders and then a few select 3rd graders were allowed to audition. And so we had a total of 95 kids, and we were able to keep 60 of them. And that was really hard to cut kids. There's a lot of talent, but that means that I was at school until 6 o'clock on Tuesday, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, 6 o'clock on Thursday. But it just got me so excited. I was already excited for this musical, but it got me so excited just to hear the talent of all these kids. Not to mention, like, my own 3rd grader was allowed to audition this time. He's been hanging around the program for as long.
Been anxious to hear how that went.
And I haven't posted anything about it yet because I felt like I do like a Feed Up Friday post just to recap my week, but I felt like he needed like a separate one. So he's been hanging around the program for as long as I have, and he can basically do any job. He just has never had the opportunity to audition, and he was so nervous. I knew that he was going to be in it. I had no say in it. But the kid's been hanging around. He knows how to run all the mics, all the sound. He can set it up. He's got the spotlight. He's been on, like, just all of these things. So now he is like officially a part of club and officially like a cast member. So I can say this because I'm his mom, but I'm also the music director of the show. His voice is not like, I would never expect him this year, maybe even next year, to get like a main role. It's just not in the cards for him. And I am obviously biased towards him, but I'm also like honest, not mean, but like honest with, sorry, kid, but these other ones, they've really got it. But I'm excited to see how he develops and how all the students develop over the course of our rehearsals and everything. So that was really exciting. It was very exhausting. It leads to very exhausting days after teaching kindergarten all day, and the kids were wild. I saw that it was a full moon, but I didn't really know, but it was definitely full moon behavior because I'm very structured in my classroom and the expectations are set, and yet it was like I wasn't even there. But
hey, I wasn't there all week.
I know. Oh my gosh. What? Were you literally not there?
We went all week? One day. So we did not have school Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Wow.
We ended up going Thursday, full day, not even a 2-hour delay. My kids woke up and they're like, oh, miserable. I'm like, sorry, guys. And then Friday was our teacher work day, which that's a whole nother story that, oh my gosh, I don't even want to go into the details of that because my coworkers listen and I want to keep that integrity. but Friday was a hot mess. Let me just say, we are no longer doing our flex group for reading. We are keeping our own kids for reading now, and we're switching our kids during our 30-minute intervention for reading. It got heated. It was just Friday. I walked away like, I need a beverage. I need to just like, I've like my anxiety was so heavy that day. And I'm like, I got to let it go. Like, just whatever, because if I just dwell on this, it's just going to get worse. And I have to learn to just, ugh. But yeah, so lots of drama there, but we are now only going to be switching kids for math. So,
Wow.
but yeah, we only had kids for one day. And then that was it for them because we had to teach your workday. So this coming week is going to be rough,
Yeah, getting
but
back into it. But
yeah, yeah. And then I was
wow.
gone that Thursday before Friday because I was sick. So I was legit out for a whole week of school, not in the building. So that was crazy.
My gosh. Had you guys done e-learning though?
We do, yeah, the remote days. So like we live Zoom
Okay.
for 2.5 hours with the kids. But that's another story because then I have my own child Zooming and then I have the other child just running muck as a 5-year-old in the house. So,
My gosh.
but yeah.
Yeah. That's wow. Yeah, no,
So
we were full force in school. Our days off are just for hurricanes. So, no days off this year. Thank goodness. But no, actually it did snow in Tampa.
I
They had
saw,
recorded snow. Yes. I didn't see it. Thank goodness. I'm not here for that. But yeah, and I think in Orlando too, they had some
yeah.
snow, but not down here. No way.
So busy, crazy, weird weeks that we've had, but I can't wait till next week when we can catch up with Katie and hear all about her conference and her experience. But in the meantime, we do have our special guest. I know Katie was kind of bummed to miss this one because she was like super excited to hear about it. And I know she's anxious to listen to this recording to hear all about his story. We would like to welcome Alex Baker. He comes to us from Indianapolis, which, woohoo, that is close to me. I was so excited to hear that. I can't wait to find ways that I can connect and kind of help with his organization being so close. He has a full story to share with us, a little more on the emotional side, but also so heartwarming and touching and all the work that he has done. So I'm going to kind of turn that over to him, kind of let him share his journey and why he's here with us today to share. So welcome, Alex.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be your first guest. Like, this big deal. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, my name is Alex Baker. You can find me on Instagram. I am Ketchup to Cancer. I appreciate the two of you having a ketchup to start the episode, and in my back of my head, it was very punny. But
I know when I said it, I thought about that.
yeah. So I will start by kind of my tagline. I hate ketchup, but I hate cancer more. And so my story kind of begins that in 2017, my wife of 8 years at that point was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer, and I was 32 years old. She was 34. Like I couldn't even fathom, like, when the doctor came in and told us, we were at the hospital late at night because she had just had this excruciating pain and ultimately had a couple of tests. When the doctor came in, sat down, and said, essentially, I don't know how to tell you this. You have cancer and it's really bad. And that out of body experience of sitting in the room, like, I feel like I was watching the back of my head, experience this moment, and tunnel vision. And she, basically had cancer in her colon, kind of at the exit. And then she also had it in her lymph nodes, her liver, and we later found out also her lungs. The original scan did not show that, but as treatment kind of went on, we learned it was in her lungs too. And so it was a horrendous journey. We spent 16 months doing treatments. She did about 25 rounds of chemo, 50 rounds of radiation, multiple surgeries. We ended up at 4 different treatment centers trying to get second and third and fourth opinions and get on a clinical trial. And just a wild ride. And ultimately, she passed in February 2019. Um, we had at that time a 4-year-old son when she passed, and that just crushed me, having to tell my son that mom died. And I don't that was the beginning of now a different, very wild journey that we'll get into. Just being in your 30s, losing your wife at she was put on hospice on our 10th anniversary. She was told to it's time, and about 2 weeks later she passed. And so it's just kind of a wild experience. And being a single parent, right, and experience mom life as a dad, was very different. Like when she was diagnosed that day, I became the primary parent and primary caregiver and primary everything doer, right? And so that was a very, very weird experience. And we can dive into any of that you want, or kind of talk about the future from here. But yeah, that's kind of the intro, at least to me.
I know that's a very difficult thing, and listening to your story and, making connections. And we all, I think, can relate in some way. My husband actually, he was 4 when his dad died of cancer. So his mom, kind of experienced that same thing. But unlike you, she kind of let herself kind of get buried in that grief. Never reached out, never dated again. I mean, she ended up working to make ends meet. Like there were times my husband will share with our kids that like growing up with a single parent, she was living in that grief for so long. Like he would have to work when he was older to help pay the bills. So the fact that you have acknowledged, that power of I need to make sure that, what I'm doing for my kid is the right thing, and just, turning this into something great instead of like living in that grief and letting that grief like overcome you to the point where you're just buried in it, I think is so inspiring. Now, granted, my husband, was very eye opening for him, and he's made a big difference for our own children, having grown up that way and being fortunate to say, like, you have gotten things that most kids might not have been able to have. And just putting that into perspective is really powerful. And just that connection to losing someone's, how it kind of inspired, which we'll get into in a moment with your running is, and I've told the girls, kind of what got me running with my first marathon was my best friend who had actually, I think it was 2014, because my husband and I were just starting to date. She passed away from cancer, and she's the one who actually had told me, like, "What's a few more miles?" when I mentioned running a marathon, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, if you can battle all this, I can do a marathon." And
Hmm.
so our first marathon was in honor of her. We had signs up, and
It's
unfortunately,
awesome.
she had passed too because I will say, like, a lot of it was battling insurance and where she could get her health care and stuff. So, a lot of my connections to running is also kind of tied to that purpose and that meaning and with that cancer. So just hearing your story is just so inspiring, and it definitely hits my heart because it could just make so many connections there. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. Somebody told me a couple of things pretty early on that really, I don't know, changed my perspective, I think, on it. And one thing was, you promise till death do you part. And unfortunately it did, right? Like most people don't think death do you part at 34 years old. Right?
Yeah.
And so like that was one thing that was kind of, it made me feel better about eventually dating, eventually falling in love again. Um, it, One other thing was, do the next right thing. And so in those moments of grief, of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this as a single dad. Like, what am I doing? And Just do the next right thing. You don't have to have 1,000 answers. Just handle the one thing in front of you. And the final lesson, and I've kind of twisted it a little bit to be more about running, but forward is a pace. We we don't move on. I did not move on. I moved forward, and taking the one step over and over 1,000, actually in my case, 4,300 miles of steps. But just step after step is really what helps moving, moving forward. Not being able to remember and honor and build a legacy, but just moving forward.
I love that analogy. Like, I'm not moving on, I'm moving forward. I've never heard that, but that makes sense.
Okay.
So what brought you into running, and yeah, what was that next step that brought you into what we know from you today?
Yeah. So, after telling my son about her passing, Amanda's passing, I realized I needed to make some different decisions for myself. I've struggled with my weight for most of my adult life. I was, especially while she was pregnant, and then while she was sick. Like, yeah, you want a milkshake? Sure, I'm gonna go get you a milkshake, and I'm gonna get one for
Yeah.
myself. And when you have a 2-year old, 3-year old, 4-year old, whatever, I don't have to argue with you about is what you're going to eat, right? Like, it's chicken nuggets, fine. It's fast food, fine. I don't care. I do not have the energy to fight with you right now, And so, I woke up one day and realized, like, oh, it's it's bad, dude. Like, you have made thousands and thousands of bad decisions, and you have put yourself here. And so, I joined a gym, that it's very wild. Like, I've tried the gym a couple of times, but I always felt lost. What do I do? I don't understand this. And so one of my friends was going to this gym where it was a 20-minute workout once a week. It's 5 machines up to 3 minutes a pop. Slow reps, 10 seconds up, 10 seconds back. And that 20 minutes a week, like, I can find, as a single parent, I can find 20 minutes for myself. And so that was my first step into it. And then, a small thing, and you as teachers probably remember the really tiny world global event that shut down everything, in just like super tiny. And it I stopped going to the gym because there was a pandemic, and what do I do? And so, um, in July of 2020, the Indianapolis 500 festival, they couldn't do the mini marathon that year, and so they did a 500-mile challenge, and I said, "That's it. I'm gonna do this." And so I was not a runner at this point. I started walking, and so I walked 500 miles in 102 days. And I wondered afterward, like, what else could I do? And I started running, and it just kind of kept progressing more and more. And super fast forward. I'm a 5-time charity marathon runner. I'm training for London right now, which will be number 6, and then hopefully going to do Tokyo in 2027. So knock out the 6 world majors and kind of achieve something fantastically cool.
That's
That is
awesome.
so cool. I love that. Actually, I know that COVID was a horrible time.
Yeah.
I was living in Chicago at the time, and nothing was open, and that was kind of the big catalyst for people to be working out, because now they had more
Hmm.
time, and
Yep.
now, and so I just think that's so great that what started out as what seemed like a huge challenge turned into something that I bet now, if you're not doing something like that, something's missing, because now you're doing this. I mean, partially for yourself, let's be honest here a little
Yeah.
bit, because you needed this for yourself.
Yep.
But now it's turned into something so much bigger.
Yes.
And I just think that, it's just kind of at a I'm trying to look for the word, just it's kind of amazing that what was tragic turned into something that is making such a big difference that you care so much for, that you
Yeah.
feel like kinda to the core.
It was just kinda like what I was saying earlier, how, a lot of people can get lost and buried in that tragedy, but you have found
Mhm.
a way to just turn it into something beautiful. And I
Thank
think
you.
that is such a powerful thing to be able to do and share and show other people that you can do that and you don't have to get buried into that grief. And it's just so inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, next week is the 7th anniversary. And it's been a hard 7 years, right? Ups and downs. And one analogy that um somebody shared with me is grief is like a box, a ball, and a button. Have you guys heard this before?
No.
Okay. So when the tragic event, when grief strikes, this ball is fills this box, and so it is just pressing on this button all of the time. And as time passes and you start moving forward, the ball gets smaller and it starts bouncing around the box, and sometimes it hits that button again. And in our house, at least, we call those button days. And I I don't need to tell you what's going on, but handle with care today. I'm having a day. I'm having a button day, and please show a little extra love, be a little more understanding. And so, it's 7 years of button days, and the running has helped bring balance and has helped center me. And to your point, like, I haven't run much in the last 2 weeks because in Indiana, we got like 13 inches of snow and it's -8 degrees right now or whatever, something insane. And I just it does not feel safe to go out for a 2-hour long run out there, you
Yeah.
know? And so, um, but yeah, I try to do intentional things, right? And to the point of, finding a way to honor Amanda's legacy. On the second anniversary of her passing, I actually ran my very first half marathon. I'd run 10 miles the week before, and I was like, I feel good. I could do this. What if I ran a half marathon that day? And so I did. And as I've continued to find running, I've found that I needed it to mean more. And so fundraising is now how I fight back. Um, uh, After 2 weeks of Amanda's treatment, we got a $400,000 bill. And I I don't know about you guys, but I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
Um, and so, um, as I started looking at becoming a charity runner, I found a charity that helped families with that. And so I work with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital as kind of my primary charity. And one of those amazing things that they do is no family ever receives a bill, not for travel, housing, food, treatment, nothing. And being able to lift that burden from people, from parents, like, you should be there for your kid. You should help your kid fight cancer. You should not be buried in debt, in panic, right? You're panicked enough, right? Going through that tragedy, that horrendous experience. Let's make it a little easier for them.
So, how I know I've seen a lot of people, run for charities.
Mhm.
Um, World Vision is the one that I don't know if yeah, World Vision is the one that I'm, like, the most familiar with because people at my previous church have always run the Chicago Marathon
Nice.
for World Vision. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But how does someone if you want to, because I've been thinking about this too, how does someone go about raising that money in order to be able to run in a marathon?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the most terrifying parts about being a charity runner, especially for the majors, is you give them your credit card when you sign up. And so my first commitment for the New York City Marathon was $6,000. And here you go, St. Jude. Here's my credit card. If I raise $1, my card is charged for the remaining $5,999. Cool. So that process is very terrifying and humbling. I think it comes to being able to share your story, make the asks, understand that you've got, especially in the social media landscape, you've got to get attention. You've got to do something kind of interesting or compelling, or just share your, be vulnerable. And that's,
Like,
I
show
felt
up in a ketchup outfit?
that, well, yeah, exactly. Just like that. Yeah.
I've
So,
seen, your videos and your reels, and I
yes.
love, your catch line with your "I hate
Yes.
ketchup." Like, it is very engaging.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, so catch up to cancer, and maybe this will kind of answer your question here a little bit too, Becky. Is so my fiance, we were at our 4th of July parade last year, and she wasn't wearing her glasses, and she swore somebody was handing out ketchup packets at this parade, and we were like, man, wouldn't that be funny if you just showed up to a parade and handed out ketchup packets? Okay, and then we just kind of like left that idea, right? And then so I did the 3 U.S. majors in 11 months, and I raised about $35,000. Um, yeah, wild. um, so I then started fundraising for Berlin, and I, so I'm just like asking over and over and over for all of my network, and at this point, like, you raise $35,000 in 11 months. Like, my people are tapped out. They are so tired of me asking for money. Uh, and so I raised $1,000. It was a $6,200 commitment. I'm 3 months out and I've only raised $1,000, and I'm panicking. Like, I don't have that kind of money to just fly to Europe, go do this thing, and also commit to somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 out of my own pocket. No, thank you. And so I looked at this parade, and I found out it was only $50 to enter the parade. And I was like, okay, well, that'd be really funny. Let's just hand out some ketchup packets. And I was out mowing, and I was like, how can I use ketchup for charity? I really do hate ketchup. I do not want it on any of my food. No, thank you. I'm a mustard guy. I'm from Chicago. So,
Yes, I can
yes.
feel you there. Ketchup doesn't go on a hot dog.
No, it doesn't.
Ever.
It
No.
doesn't go on anything except in the trash.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just kidding. But how can I use ketchup to cancer? Ketchup to cancer. Oh my gosh. And I run in the house and I'm like, Lindsay, ketchup to cancer. And she looks at me like I'm completely nuts. What? And I say it slower. Catch up to cancer. And it clicks. And it is now started I create an Instagram account. I make a website. I buy 5,000 ketchup packets and hand sticker QR codes on the back of them. And we entered the parade and we handed out 5,000 ketchup packets. I raised $1,100 on that day alone, which was insane. And now, I'm using this movement, this hilarious like ketchup bottle, and I've got a little ketchup mascot sticker. I got ketchup ornaments. I get ketchup stuffies from friends now. Like, everybody thinks it's funny.
You have more ketchup than you want.
So much more ketchup. I'm so over ketchup. But it started, I think, a really cool movement that we can hopefully one day catch up to cancer and beat this thing. And it's about like just putting some good in the world and lifting people up, lifting other charity runners up, and fundraising to beat this thing. It's so much so that I've actually now officially created a nonprofit, Catch Up to Cancer. And you guys will be my first announcement here. I signed earlier today to have 10 spots for a race as a charity partner. And so I am wildly excited that this movement has just become a thing, and we are now giving back into the running community, which is where I've started. And it's a wildly exciting thing for me to do.
That is so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that you were able to announce that. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you ever think it would turn into anything?
No.
Yeah.
No. I thought it was just be like a funny way to expose myself to the run community in a different way, because my personal socials were just not getting, the algorithm didn't like me. But you get pied in the face or squirted with some ketchup, and yeah,
And the world
apparently
loves you.
people think it's funny. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you were saying, with your charity, all the money you said that you're raising goes to St. Jude specifically? That's
Yeah, that is what
for
all
any
my
cancer.
fundraising. Yes, correct. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
doing now. As Ketchup to Cancer kind of continues to build, and we start raising, tens, hundreds, millions, maybe. I would like to expand that, and
Yeah.
find cancers that are meaningful to, like, your husband, for example, right? Like, let's find a good charity and raise money for specific research. I've thought about connecting with my wife's colorectal cancer doctor, and
Yeah.
he's at a university. Maybe there's a study that we could help fund. So I'm definitely still feeling things out, taking a step by step, moving forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think right now St. Jude is doing amazing things, and continue to support them.
Yeah. I mean, we're a Riley family because
Yeah.
we don't have the cancer per se, but both of
Yep.
my sons have had surgery. We actually are heading back to Indy this Friday because
Okay.
our oldest has a Riley appointment, and then my youngest has a prosthetic eye, so we'll be in the Fishers area for him.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll be down there, and I think of all like the charities and things that Riley does as well. We
Yeah.
one of my good running friends, her grandson is 3, and he has, uh, I think it's a brain tumor, so, like, he's going through, but yeah, he's at Riley versus St. Jude.
Okay. Yeah.
But there is a gentleman who has an organization down in Florida. I think he's originally from up here and has a team, and he raises money for almost, it's like Make-A-Wish, but it's
Okay.
not through them. But he raises enough money, does these marathons, and then, like, he was able to pay for their family to go to Disney World. And so
That's
I know he had
amazing.
another Down syndrome family, um, also just recently, who does that. And so it just kind of made me think also with your story. And I
Yeah.
know Katie shared at one point the doctor who runs the marathons and gives his medals to his patients, and things like that. So, my second marathon, my first marathon was down in Indy, the
Okay.
one that we ran for my friend. It was the Indy Mini who actually got me, like, going, "Oh, okay, if I could do that time, I wonder what I could do on a marathon." And so
Yeah.
then the Indianapolis was my first marathon, but then my second one, after she passed, I wanted to run another one. I tried getting into Chicago because I wanted to run
Mm.
for, like, a charity for her, but didn't get
Yep.
in. I did the Columbus Children's Hospital, and each mile
Wow.
marker is dedicated to one of their patients. And so,
That's
like, they would
amazing.
have, like, the tattoo, which would have their names, and, like, depending on the weather, like, at certain mile marks, those patients would be out, at that mile marker as you're going by. And I just
That's
think, like,
amazing.
those kind of events have so much more meaning to them. And it's just,
Agreed.
yeah, that's the why for me, at least with running. I always like, I need a purpose, and
Yeah.
I need that why.
That's really awesome. I started running after I had my first son, and I was like, "Gotta lose that weight," because it wasn't coming off like people were saying.
Right.
But,
Yep.
like, as the years have gone on, I've been running because it feels good. It's a good social activity in my 30s, and, but then I told it wasn't gonna work out for 2025, but I had told my husband, I said, I want to do another marathon. And this time I want to do it for my dad. So my dad was diagnosed with ALS a few years ago, and he um, battled it for 18 months and then passed away last year. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do another marathon, why not just do one for the ALS Foundation? Because that's who he was working with. But I was like, I don't know how to get into that and run for a charity and do all that fundraising, which is why I asked you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's what my next one is going to be. It's going to be down here, but
It's amazing.
my next one's going to be, I think, in November.
Okay.
Um,
Well, if you have additional questions or want to bounce ideas, I'm definitely willing to help. And that goes to all of your listeners as well. Like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
charity runners, I think generally, especially in the Boston space, get a lot of um, just bad blood, right? Like you're not a real runner, you're not a real marathoner because it took you 6 hours to run who cares? I
mhm.
also raised $21,000. So what did you do, bro?
Yep.
Like, I don't. uh, it's just I don't know. I hate that people diminish back of the pack runners, charity
Mhm.
runners, right?
Mhm.
Like we are still we are still doing the training, we're still putting in the time and the effort and
You're doing
fundraising too.
more.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And
Really?
so yeah, I want to continue to lift up charity runners, share their stories, and so Becky, please um, reach out and let's bounce
Yeah,
ideas. And I mean,
absolutely.
there's 1,000 ideas, right, to use for
Yeah.
fundraising, but
Mhm. Mhm.
ultimately, I think being able to share your why, like you just did about
Mhm.
your dad and the impact, and I don't know,
Mhm.
there's something serious there that people get. They
Yeah.
understand the pain in some way, even if they haven't felt it yet.
Yeah.
So, do you have, like, a team with your charity? Like, that when they go out and run, they have, like, your gear on that they are, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of.
So this is my first foray into it. But yes, my hope when I get spots and get charity runners is we'll have some ketchup to cancer gear and we'll do some of that. I do partnered with Pen and Paces, penandpaces.com, and we have a ketchup to cancer um, in honor of in memory bib that here I'll just grab it real quick. And so we've got like in memory of Amanda. So, I wear it when I'm out running at races and stuff, and just as a way to kind of um, honor her. And I'm just finding a couple of ways to make sure to honor that legacy.
Yeah, and just
So
being so close, I'm like, how could I get connected with you, and how can I bring some of that up to Fort Wayne area with some of my
yeah,
runners up here? Like, how can we branch with you and get that movement up north and
I love it.
just like some of my friends that run, like how could we join your team and carry that on? Because I have such a passion as well with running and cancer. Like that's really where it got me started on my journey and what's kept me going. So I have to run on the treadmill for most of my
Okay.
runs
Yep.
because with kids, 2 young kids, I barely have the time to get out and unless it's summer. And I will sit there like I have my bib from my race with her, like all
Yeah.
down there by my treadmill as just my
Amazing.
inspiration and memory. Like so I am
I love that.
all like eager to connect with you more and figure out a way to just support your organization and spread that
Let's
word
do
for
it.
sure. Yeah,
I love it.
it's exciting.
I'm excited to figure out what the next step is with Ketchup to
Yeah.
Cancer, and I'd love to come to Fort Wayne and do race there, do something, run in a
Yeah.
ketchup costume. Who knows?
We're all anti-costumes. We've had that conversation back at fall,
Okay.
but you know what?
Yeah.
No, we don't wanna run in the costume. You are more
Right.
than welcome to
Yeah.
run in that
Perfect.
costume. We all say we hate running in costumes.
Yeah.
Have you actually ran a race in the costume?
I have not. I've done a like run around my neighborhood in it,
Okay.
but um, I think it's coming soon that we're gonna have to run in a ketchup bottle.
Oh, maybe start small. Do like a
Yeah,
10K in it or something.
that's right. Apparently, London Marathon people run in costumes like the whole thing, and that it feels insane. I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
saw a Big Ben,
Uh-huh. Oh
10 feet Big Ben someone ran in.
my gosh.
Yes.
That just takes a lot of patience.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Katie was even sending us pictures, her marathon that she just ran in Texas.
Mhm.
Some of the people that were running in the costumes, and she's like, "Oh, they took this off at mile 6." Like they were I'm like, I bet.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. No. It's already miserable enough when you're in regular attire and you're
Yes.
getting hot, and
Yep.
so exciting.
Well, thank you
Is
for
there
sharing your
Yeah.
story with us.
Of course.
This has it's been eye-opening in a lot
For
of
sure.
ways
And
and
inspiring, and
inspiring. Yep.
I'm so honored to have you as our very first guest. Like, I could not have asked for a better first guest, and the connections that you have with us and our listeners and sharing your story. And I know that I'm eager to connect more, and I'm sure that we have listeners and others. So definitely, we will leave your information in this episode's blurb so that those who want to reach out to us for more questions or to reach out to Alex can definitely find a way to connect and follow him. I believe your Instagram or maybe TikTok, is it like just Ketchup to Cancer?
Ketchup
The name?
TO Cancer. Yep.
Okay.
Website
Yes.
is ketchuptocancer.com. I'm on Instagram and Threads. I feel like I'm too old for TikTok, but maybe
No.
one day.
No, you are not too old for TikTok. This summer, just dabbled in the whole TikTok. I was like posting a lot more, way out of my comfort zone. And then school season hit, and I'm like, I can't tell you the last time I posted anything on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, life took over, and being a parent and a teacher was more of a priority. It took so much time. Like, I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
when you're trying to like find content that's going to be worth posting and that people might watch. I know a lot of people say, just post it. Don't worry. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a social media content creator. It's not in the cards for me unless it was my full-time job. This
Yeah.
podcast is my way of sharing to the world.
Yeah. I totally get that. I struggle with it too, because there are times like I've invested 3 hours in like this video or whatever and 97 views. It's not that bad, right? But like, seriously, I thought this was going to be like the thing, and nope.
Yeah. It's the ones that you don't think that end up blowing
Yep.
up. It's
Yep.
crazy. So, but definitely. So yes, find Alex, go follow him, support him, share the word. If you are one of our listeners, share this episode out with your friends. So not only are we getting the word out for our podcast, but also spreading the word for Alex and the great organization that he does to catch up to cancer. Thanks for sipping and sharing a moment with us today. We can't wait to keep showing up with you each week. Messy, caffeinated, and real.
And if you like what you heard, we'd be so grateful if you'd follow, subscribe, or share this with your teacher bestie, mom group chat, or training partner, or all three. It helps more people find our little corner of chaos and connection.
Make sure to hit follow so you don't miss next week's episode. And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Espresso Yourself Podcast. Tell us what resonated, share your own stories, what topics you want us to cover, or just come say hi.
Until next time, keep showing up.
Keep giving yourself grace.
And espresso yourself.
One
sip at a time.
time.